My name is David Chariandy, and I'm a writer. And I'd like to welcome everyone to Indie Feature Friday. So leading up to Canadian Independent Bookstore Day on Saturday, August 29th, Penguin Random House Canada is spotlighting Canadian Independent Bookstore every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you can join us on Twitter at penguinrandomhouse.ca and follow the hashtag Indie Feature Friday. So today, the Indie Feature Friday spotlight is on Sankofa Bookstore, an Afrocentric bookstore based in Ottawa. It is my true pleasure and honor to be in conversation with Confidence Survival, the daily operations manager of Sankofa Bookstore. And I wonder if I could both welcome Confidence Survival and also ask her to introduce herself. Again, it's a great pleasure to be speaking with you today.
Hi, David. Thank you so much for that beautiful intro. So my name is Confidence Survival. As David already said, I am the daily operations manager here at Sankofa Bookstore. So I'm an artist. And when I originally started my musical journey, I was looking for a studio to work with. And fortunately, Sankofa Bookstore was at the same location. So my alignment in the journey for knowledge synchronized with the conversations that were going on within the environment of Sankofa Bookstore. And ever since, I've chosen to immerse myself in the preservation of this knowledge. So I gave myself in any way that I could to make sure this bookstore keeps serving its purpose, being a beacon of light for everyone that's searching for the untold story of our people.
Thank you. That's one thing that I've been lucky enough to observe recently is your music. And I've watched at least 2 YouTube videos. And I wonder if you'd, if you're comfortable, speak a little bit about the connections between your art as a musician, and perhaps there are other art forms that you also work in, and the work that's done at Sankofa Bookstore.
Yeah, for sure. So the bookstore presents the documented evidence of a people's voice, the voice of the people of Kush, whom the mainstream information highway has successfully downplayed while they try to contribute to the Kush oneness. It is an alternate source that provides information that's missing and cross-references the present mainstream narrative of us and presents us as who we truly are and our common journey as a people. For example, Marcus Messiah Garvey, who's also in my video, Careless, who was the most significant pillar of change for us in the 1920s, was deliberately blurred out. So the present mainstream narrative we all know is Jim Crow law in the 1800s. Then there was a huge jump from the 1800s to Martin Luther King and Malcolm X in the 1960s. So there was no mention of Marcus Messiah Garvey, Amy Jackson, Amy Ashwood, and whatever journey that they had in the 1920s. So there was a complete 40 years in our story that was blurred out. But those 40 years were in fact the height of resurrection and the closest to emancipation of the present day people of Kush. So we owned our own ships, tying into transport systems. We had our own schools, educational systems, businesses, financial systems, and media outlets that had a readership of over 200,000 people. So in a case where all this information is not available to our people, which is present day, right now, we're all gonna keep revolving around the same series of information that holds no solution to our present situation, as Sankofa Bookstore provides that documented missing link that we require to move forward as a people. So me coming in line with Sankofa Bookstore, the values like completely match perfectly. And Sankofa Bookstore providing the books and the space for people to really come and just interact, you know, like-minded. I'm, on the other hand, bringing that information to them with my music.
I think that, thank you for that. I think that clearly spells out the importance of Sankofa Bookstore, but also bookstores in general in highlighting knowledge that has been subjugated or erased or made invisible, and in bringing together communities, people who wish to preserve and indeed learn about this essential information. So thank you for that very, very clear and powerful explanation. I wonder if you're able, could you speak a bit more about the evolution of Sankofa Bookstore itself? Did you come to it, were you one of the founding members, or did you come to it when it was beginning to operate in some sort of way? Could you talk a little bit about Sankofa specifically, if you're able?
Yeah. So Sankofa Bookstore has been established for about 13 or 14 years now. And I just came to the bookstore about 2 years ago. So it was kind of like me finding all this knowledge. You know, it was fully functioning, fully operating on its own. But me finding all this knowledge, I just pretty much gave myself, like I said. So it was just like a bond that was just created between Sankofa and Confident Survival as an artist. So we just pretty much just exploded from there and did the best we could, and we're continuing to do the best we can to make sure the information is still preserved.
I'm smiling because I recognize that feeling of walking into a place. It can be a bookstore, it can be some other kind of place, and you feel that you've arrived among like-minded people, and it's such a precious and important thing. Yeah, and I think you put that so beautifully, so powerfully. I guess I wonder if you could give us a sense about work at Sankofa Books. How many people work there? How work is shared? These sorts of things. I think a lot of people don't really understand how important but also heroic the work of the independent bookstore is, and in this case, the Afrocentric bookstore. So I wonder if you could just give us a sense of the daily operations of the bookstore.
So I'm gonna refer to this time, like not much people are coming in. So because we're getting so much orders online, some of the orders come through the bookstore. So through the online platform, through the website. So there's someone like focusing on like the orders online, but we also get orders that are specific to like, I have this list of books, so I want you to give me like, and sometimes it can be like 20 books, 30 books, sometimes it can be up to 50 books, right? And sometimes some clients want like 67 copies of one book. So it's like, we have to like talk with the distributor and like figure out a negotiation between them and like pretty much like fulfilling their order. So big orders is also done by another person. Sometimes some clients come and they're like, I don't have a list. I want you to make a list for me. So that's another conversation of like, okay, so what are you trying to do? What's the age grade you're trying to do? Like, and then pretty much like, what's the purpose for this? So we see like the overall kind of like idea of what they're trying to get, and then we make a list for them and fulfill that list. So it's like some back and forth sometimes it's just as easy as like, hey, I have this book, I want to order it. But sometimes it's just like it takes 2-3 days to fulfill an order, and sometimes even more. So like daily there's like 5 people working right now. Few people come into the space, not much. And then other times, oh, this is my favorite part of the bookstore. A lot of people who are just like starting their journey, they come in with their questions, and it's just like a conversational space. And we just like talk about like different stuff like health, music too, spirituality. Is so cool to just have conversations with people and like provide that information to them.
That's such an amazing phrase. You just spoke, you know, a space for conversation, a conversational space. And again, I think that's what makes a bookstore like Sankofa so important as an independent bookstore, having knowledgeable people who can help you find what you're looking for, as opposed to, I guess, you know, trying trying to search on the internet or entering a store without people specifically knowledgeable in what you want, you can be sure that when you walk into an independent bookstore like Sankofa Books, that the people who work there are passionate and knowledgeable, and can help you on your journey. So once again, you're making me smile, and again, I just filled with respect for the work that is done in a bookstore like this. You mentioned though that you wanted to speak about what Sankofa Books was doing right now, Confidence Survival, and of course the now is during or just after the real quarantine period of COVID. Would you be able to speak a bit more about, I mean, maybe it's obvious, but how COVID has affected the bookstore, how you've adjusted, and maybe how you see the bookstore moving forward into the new phases of COVID-19?
Yeah, for sure. So prior to the pandemic situation, we had a lot of people coming in to have these conversations, right? Because usually when people come into the bookstore, they don't usually come in to buy a book. They can do that online or call or email. So most people that came in, they had questions that they wanted to be answered. So right now we're having just a few people come by, and it's just like smaller groups of like conversational gatherings. But before, it used to be like huge group of like 10, 15 people, sometimes 20, and we just sit down and just all talk about like, you know, our journeys and like how we can all correlate and like interact properly in a like way to move forward. So right now it's just like a few people coming in because most people are ordering the books online. That's just what has been affected so far, but it's still good. It's still good all the way.
I noted on on your website, and you've just spoken to it too, the fact that the bookstore is, of course, about books and selling books, but it's also much more than that. It is about space for conversations, and a space for conversations which are difficult to have elsewhere, I guess. A space for lectures, for movies, for book clubs, for both adults and children. I wonder if you could speak a little bit more about this sense of Sankofa as a space for conversation, not only about books, but about all aspects of culture and life.
Yeah, for sure. So knowledge can be passed on in many different ways, and Sankofa Bookstore embraces that, because there's like for children movies, because right now they're so used to like TV and stuff. So for children and like young adults, movies is always good to pass on the information. For the set of people that like music, music is good as well. And then because it takes stages, like some people don't really like reading that much, so we're kind of like trying different stuff to make sure like the information it comes across, right? So and then the movie nights and like those are just like we watch really powerful movies that like they didn't even know existed. Like for example, The Birth of a Nation. Like The Birth of a Nation is such a powerful movie. Like everybody that watches it, they're like, oh my God. But now it's like we usually just, they come and like, hey, what's the movie? Like, what's this movie you want me to watch? Like, and we're like, oh, go watch A Birth of a Nation. Like, oh my God, I didn't find it. You know, it's like before we'll come in and we watch it together, but it's like now we just tell them to go watch it. And then sometimes we have because some stuff, which is a real conversation that a lot of people don't talk about, some movies are taken down. Of like whatever platforms, like if it was on YouTube, sometimes it's taken down. If it was on like some movies are not even on Netflix or like any other movie platforms, so we have to buy the physical CD and store it in store. So that's where the movie night comes in, because we can't really share it a lot because we probably have like only one copy or something. But now, because everything has gone online, so we're like, okay, show them where to go find it, and then they pretty much go find it and watch it by themselves. But it's like very difficult to find those like certain movies that are really strong and really bring the information.
I can only imagine what it must be like for a younger person or an older person who is embarking on a certain journey to find, again, a bookstore like Sankofa Books. It must be it just must be just a powerful experience, and so thank you for this work that you do. I guess I want to ask maybe a specific question. What books are let's say flying off of your shelves right now, or what books do people seem to be interested in that Sankofa Books specifically can provide?
So we have Pre-Colonial Black Africa by Sheikh Anta Diop. I don't have that one, the copy here, because we just ordered it again. It hasn't arrived yet.
Mm-hmm,
But there is the Selected Writings and Speeches of Marcus Garvey by Bob Blaisdell. We have They Came Before Columbus by Ivan van Sertima. We have Negro Nation and Culture. This is in French by also Sheikh Anta Diop.
I don't mean to interrupt, but do you sell books both in French and in English?
Yes, we do. Yes.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Yeah, thank you. Sorry.
Yes, fine. Yeah. So the Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Messiah Garvey. This is by Amy Jacques Garvey. When Rocks Cry Out by Horace Butler. This is a very good book too. And From Babylon to Timbuktu by Rudolph R. Windsor.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
No
problem. I guess I wonder if I could ask you specifically if there are one or two favorite books that you find yourself returning to. Maybe you'd recommend. You've shown us some already, so you've begun to answer that question. But just wondering if you personally have a favorite book or two you'd be willing to share.
So I have three favorite books I have here. Two from the past ones I just showed. The Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey.
Right.
And They Came Before Columbus. This one is about, it's a documented evidence that we were here before Columbus, the people of Kush. And then Christianity Before Christ, the world's 16 crucified saviors before Jesus. This is a very, very good book for people questioning spirituality and trying to get like more information, more knowledge about like religious stuff, pretty much.
Right. Thank you. The collected speeches of Marcus Garvey, do you know when that book was collected or published? Just for,
I can quickly check. Right
now. Yeah. It's. I was just curious if it was during his time, or was it during, say, our time, and how they had access to the speeches. But please don't. I'm just curious. It's really kind of it's my own question.
I think it was collected in our time.
Right. Makes sense. It's interesting. So many crucial figures in history. The work of collecting together writings and speeches, especially if at the time it was difficult to do so, it's its own undertaking that sometimes takes a bit of time to do. But thank you for pointing out that book. So maybe I wonder if I could thank you for all of your responses and for so the generosity of your responses. I really recommend for those who live in Ottawa, especially, to come visit your bookstore. I don't know. I lived actually in Ottawa for 6 years, but this was a long time ago. This was between 1988 and 94. Ottawa was very different then. But you know, there were certainly people who were very interested in Afrocentric thought, in Black thought, in the experiences of African Canadians, but people of African descent globally. And I know I and other people would have been very interested in visiting your bookstore. So I urge anyone who's listening to support Sankofa Books. I wonder if you could offer a sense of how people can support the bookstore if you have ideas.
So they can email us at info@sankofabookstore.com. They can visit our website, www.sankofabookstore.com, and call us 613-695-0771. Yeah, so those three. We don't have any active social media right now, but email, call, and on the website, those are good so far. Or walking at 430 Rideau Street. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I know. No, I think I would have to think a bit more. It's been a long time since I've been in Ottawa, but thank you for that. Thank you for that contact information.
No problem. You're welcome.
I believe that there are a couple or some questions from others that we, if you're willing, perhaps we can respond to them together, or I can relay them to you. I guess they might be appearing soon. I'm not sure, but where are you right? May I ask? I don't mean to be to get too personal, but do you happen to be in the store right now, or are you elsewhere?
Yes, I'm in the store right now.
Oh, such a beautiful, such a beautiful background and chair, and are those books above you?
Yes, those are books above me.
Wonderful. Oh, right. Oh, wow, that's so great. I imagine, I mean, that experience of walking into a bookstore, and that for me is very different from again, it's just a very specific and special experience walking into a bookstore and seeing books displayed, and you know that books have been chosen by informed people, and then it makes the work of looking for the book you'd like to read so much easier. And it's there are few experiences for me as good as that. So I can see that's the setup at the bookstore too. Is it one room, or do you have two different rooms so people can go into another room, and or is there an office space or so forth?
Yeah, so we have one room. This room contains like books all over, behind me, in front of me, there, like on my left hand side, and then on the wall on the left hand side too. So, nice. But we also have co-working spaces. So pretty much there's
wow.
meetings. There is rooms for pretty much just rooms for meetings. Most conversations go on this floor. So most conversations go on this floor, and then if there's like any scheduled meetings, they go on the boardroom.
So I do have a question, and the first question is, what music are you listening to lately? Is the first question. Now, I think this is a really very complex question to be asking a musician. But yeah, is there music that you find really inspiring and uplifting that in making your own music you return to?
Right now, there is some music that's been in the works.
Right.
It's not released yet, but it's a very, very powerful music by another artist that I work with at the studio. And that's pretty much what I've been listening to like every day because it's such a powerful song. The name of the song is Change We Wanna See. It's about being the change we want to see, and it is by Indigenous. So his artist name is Indigenous. So it's a very powerful song. I also produced that, so we're working together closely on it. Pretty much everything else I just listen to, like my cultural music, Igbo. I love Igbo songs, Fino, Flavor,
Oh, okay.
Mobilibo, and just like I listen to reggae sometimes,
Yes.
Tertosh, Queen Omega, just yeah,
Right. Right.
like little bit of everything.
Right. Wow. Thank you. I myself have kind of given up, well, long ago on staying up to date and how would I put it? Trying to pretend that I'm cool. I can't do that anymore. I've probably never been able to do that. So I have teenagers and they listen to a lot of contemporary, rap and R&B and whatnot. But I guess I've been turning a lot to older musicians like jazz and Nina Simone, and it's been it's been I find it very moving and powerful as these days. There's another question, and perhaps the question that I think you've begun to answer, and I think you've answered this, or maybe begun to answer this very well. Is there a book that you turn to for comfort and inspiration?
Philosophy and Opinions of
Right. I thought so. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Listening to you, that's for sure. I guess myself, I guess I've been, I've always liked, always been blown away by Toni Morrison's Beloved. And I guess maybe recently I've always had this kind of deep essential interest in Dion Brand's work. But lately I've been rereading and rereading a book entitled The Blue Clerk, and it's her, in a sense, a philosophy of writing by a by someone I consider one of the greatest living writers, and so it's that's one book for me. I'm wondering if there might be another question, or there might not. I must say it's been a real it's been a real pleasure speaking with you and hearing about both you, Confidence Survival, and the work at Sankofa Books. I suspect and that many people are going to find this information useful, and I hope more people visit the bookstore and can be energized by the conversations that happen within it. Mm-hmm. So I think there is, I might, I'm not sure if there, oh yeah. So yeah, I think I might, sorry, I'm trying to read at the same time right now. I think this might be a wrap for the interview. Again, Confidence Survival, thank you so much for your time and thought and energy. I want to also pass along thanks to Sankofa Books for the work they're doing as an independent bookstore, and then maybe and also shout out to all other independent bookstores who are doing this important work of providing specific knowledge, specific information, and a space for thought and for thought to happen. So I guess note to everyone, if you happen to be in Ottawa or the next time you're able to safely visit, please visit Sankofa Bookstore and of course buy books. Please also plan to buy books on Saturday, August 29th, the newly scheduled Canadian Independent Bookstore Day. And finally, visit penguinrandomhouse.ca to find your local independent bookseller, and be sure to follow at penguinrandomhouse.ca on Twitter, and the hashtag Indie Feature Friday for news on the final upcoming events. So once again, many thanks and much respect to you, Confidence Survival, and thank you for the work you do and for the work that Sankofa Bookstore does.
Thank you so much, David, and also thank you to Penguin Random House CA. I'm so excited. I'm so glad that they decided to do this spotlight feature on Sankofa Bookstore and myself as an artist. I'm delighted and
wonderful. Thank you again.